Well, here goes the final breakdown. How much it costs to go amateur racing. Right, so here we go. Final round, Donnington Park, and it was the GPC track as well, not the national. So it was the full track. Second time we've done it this year. Roughly should note cost because we've already been through it. The race itself, 339 quid. So just to go racing, that's qualifying, race 1, that's on the Saturday, and then race 2 and race 3 was on the Sunday. That's them. Test day. Donnington Park, don't forget. You don't get a test day at Donnington Park, same as Brands. I don't know why, but the track day, which if you want to get a bit of testing in, 199 quid. Sound familiar? Last time we were at Donny. Last time we were at Brands Hatch when, believe it or not, there were no test days for that. So there were no test days, it's just track day. Weren't bad actually, track day weren't bad. There weren't too many stoppages. I'm going to say there weren't too many stoppages. The test day before, apparently that were a crash fest, but it's the track days. I think when they did briefing for the track day, just on the Friday, I think there were something like 5 people who weren't racing though. So there were literally 5 track days there. God help them. So, right, diesel. I forgot how much mileage it were. But I will say, when I filled it up, it was like £99, 80 pence, and I couldn't get any more in it. It was literally at the top. So I'm going to say fuel for Donnington was a bang on 100 quid. That's towing a caravan, BMW X5 40D. So it's a decent car, do you mean? But 100 quid, weren't bad there and back. Weren't a bad journey. Fuel. Now, and I have put the full fuel in costs. I included the fuel foot track day as well. And I did use super unleaded. Someone's like, why are you using super unleaded? Because I tread the bike. I tread the bike to some decent fuel. So, petrol, 64 quid. Now, I'm not going to count the endurance because I did the endurance. All these costs that I covered today, I'm not going to cover endurance, just for the simple reason that was my choice to do that. You don't have to. This is purely just to race in the series. So I'm not going to put down because I had to pay another 30 quid, pay another 30 quid. I had to pay another 125 quid to do endurance. So I'm not even going to cover the endurance. That's something totally that we wanted to do for last time. So that's that. Right, total £702, which that's including track day. It's not so bad, you mean? And we did actually do alt races, even though one of them was wet. I'll come to that when I go through other bit. Right, 702 quid to race at Donnington for weekend. That's including fuel and everything. Not too bad. I say not too bad. Of course it is. It isn't. It's just so much fun. Right. That's that cost. Let's get to the next bit, which is the nitty gritty on the other costs. Right. Back to the board. So here we go. And it's just, I'll just work it out exactly the same. So it's not going to be any different. Don't forget, green is full cost. Red is what I'm paying. Yeah, because there's a difference, because it is full cost and half cost. And we'll just work it out just normal. So this is what you'd have to pay no matter what. Race itself, £339. Track day, 199 quid. Look, Donnington. Oh, Brands was 289 quid for that track day. Forgot about that one. Fuel, £64, and diesel, 100 quid. How much would it last? Oh, it were only 74 last. I'll tell you why it was 74 last time. Because I didn't take my caravan. I had to hire a van. So I forgot about that. So 74 quid in a normal van, just chucked everything back of that. I was towing my caravan and I used my car this time, and that's why it's got a different price on. So £100 in diesel, not so bad. Tyres. Now, oh God, this is another awkward one. Right, the track day. Now, if you did the track day, let me put T down for track day. Right, if you're a professional, as I've covered before, you're going to be using a tyre. One front, one rear. So it's one front, one rear. That's 400. Oh, I'm doing it in black. It should be blue, green. 490 quid. Right. Me, I did use scrubs. So I did use scrubs. Mine were 120 quid. I did use a Metzler TD, but I did have to put a new front on, which not a brand new front. It was just a Metzler RR with a scrub, which I bought as well. So that's just for the track day. Qualifying. So qualifying, if you do, right. So in qualifying, it weren't too bad. But if you are that person who actually goes and pays for your full tyres, 490 again, because you'll have wasted that tyre and that front on track day. So you'd have bought another one for qualifying. Nearly did it again. Me, 80 quid. I just had a scrub, which, believe it or not, it was... Where did I get it from? Where did I get that from? Oh, I'll tell you what it was. It were a SC1 that I'd bought. So that's why that one's 80 quid. For that, oh, that's for race 1. Race 2. Now, race 2, it was wet. I'm not... Oh, sorry. Right, let me go back here. Let me go back. Qualifying. Yeah. Quali. I've got mixed up myself here. Qualifying was wet, right? So obviously you had to buy tyres. Now it's not 490, it's 460. I had a wet front. I got a wet rear, which I paid 80 quid for. That was qualifying. Race 1 was dry. So that was the same day. So that's where I got confused. Qualifying, it was wet. So we had wets on. 460 for brand new. If you're buying brand new, I had a scrub. Race 1 then, that was dry. Now I used the tyre that I had from Oulton Park, because don't forget, second race, which we didn't end up racing, hammered it down, and I bought a brand new tyre there. So for me, I didn't have to buy out. But if you were going for a championship, you would have bought a brand new front and a brand new rear for 490. But me, no, I didn't buy a tyre. I used my tyre from Oulton Park, because I'd literally done 8 laps on it, or 10 laps, 8 or 10 laps on it at Oulton Park. So that were a good one. Now race 2, that were wet, but. And I'm going to give this as a 0 for both. Nothing and nothing, because in qualifying, it rained. It was wet in qualifying. Not being funny, unless you were... And I'm not going to put it down. Even if you were going for championship, I doubt you'd have bought a brand new wet tyre. Not unless you were literally a couple of points away from getting championship. You would not buy another wet tyre. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to put it as a 0, and that's for, if you're paying full, you would have used another wet, the same wet as you used in qualifying. don't forget qualifying, we only have 10 minutes. So that's one. And then race 3. Now, race 3, it was one of them where I did already pay for a brand new tyre. So for me, and I only bought a rear. For me, 270 quid. That's how much a rear tyre costs. It were a Pirelli SC1, 265.17. Cost me 270 quid. You get a little bit of discount. Now, I'm not going to put anything for full cost. I'm going to give them a little here because, like I've just said, if you're going for championship, you will have bought brand new. If it concerned you, you would have bought a brand new tyre just to get that championship. But if you weren't, you'd have probably just used a scrub. So I'm not going to put anything for full cost. I am giving you a little bit there. You mean, as in a little bit back rather than, oh, full cost, full cost, full cost. I'm going to give you a little bit. But tyres up and down, I will say, from that, if you were, I think it was 1,440 if you were buying brand new. Me, 470 quid, I think it was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 470 quid, yeah. 470 quid on tyres. And I know I've not worked it out before, but I have this time. Right, pads. Now, I did only go through one set of pads. And reason being, I put a brand new set in because I had some RSTs and I think they were buckled. There was something wrong with them, and I tried them on track day and they just kept going. And then I used my old pads from here, from Oulton Park. I used my old DC pads from Oulton for the test day, and then I put brand new pads in. And I did use them in wet, so I know DCs do actually work in wet now. So, in reality, my brake pads, I'm only going to put 88 quid because I used my RSTs. I've used the DCs from Oulton Park, so I didn't really use them. So, saved a bit of money there. Right, oil and filter, that's still going on there, no matter what. You mean, 64 quid. That's for both. Yeah, I think it's like 56 quid and 8 quid foot filter or something like that, or it might be a tenner, or 54 quid and a tenner for them. Right, I did have to buy, if you have actually watched the races, which if you've subscribed, some of you haven't. Some of you have not watched it because out of my subscribers, I ain't got that many views on race 1, and you'd have seen I was gutted, I was flying. I had to buy a chain and I had to put a new sprocket on and all because it absolutely did them in. So the chain, 130 quid. That's from Dave. Dave's always at racing. And then the sprocket was 43 quid as well. So they're the ones. And what I will say is, they're not cheap sprockets. That's an AFAM. And I'm not going to count this one because that's my fault. That's a rental. So it's not like I'm buying the cheap sprockets. I'm not going to put them on, am I? Not when I put a brand new chain on. Why would I do that? That's stupid. But I did have to buy a new chain and new sprocket. And it's purely down to not aligning wheels up right. I use markers. I've now bought, which I haven't put price on. I'm not sponsored by them, but I bought one of them. Lee lent me his, so I bought one so I can align my chain at least. It's one of them. I'm not going to go into all the other stuff. Now, Endurance, I've got stuff here from Endurance. Endurance were 125 quid. Tyres, did use a set of scrubs and qualifier. Qualifier was wet as well for that, but I used the same qualifier that I used here. So, because literally we went out and went straight out for qualifying. So I'm not going to count that. Right, costs. So, full cost, £2,467. That's full cost, don't forget. And I have let you off with a couple of things. Me, £1,497. So is that cheaper than last time? I'll tell you what, it's not bad to say that we had so many tyres to go through. I'm quite happy with that. So tyres plus chain. I'm quite happy with that. I had the van, a dyno, a quick shifter, micro switch. I did have to buy a lot for last time I were at Donnington. Donington Park I had to buy stuff. This time I've had to buy stuff. So that's there. Right. That's the breakdown of Donington Park. As you can see, that's the total for the year. This is where we're going now. Yep. Let's do a final tally, shall we? Here we go. Get your lass out. Get your lass out now. She don't want to see this. I've mentioned it numerous times. Right. Let's do this one. Right. Here we go. This is the final breakdown. And it is a full year of amateur racing. Amateur racing, not professional, as you know, if you've watched anything else. Now, I have raced, and I'm going to be honest, with No Limits. No Limits Racing. They've been absolutely brilliant. Really, really good. I can't knock them. If you watch the last one, Oulton Park, yes, I did have a whinge. I did put it as a rip-off. That's my opinion. I just felt we didn't get our value for money for Oulton Park. We're not doing it next year, so I don't care. This is the part where it's literally everything to do with racing. I have got a total as well. Now, let me if you subscribed, well, first off, if you subscribed, absolutely thank you for watching. If you've not subscribed, but you have watched this series, I hope it's enlightened you on how much it costs to go racing. On my last video, it did go a bit viral. 12,000 views. That's good for me. 12,000 views on YouTube. Thanks. It earned me about 15 quid. I will say that. But it's one where there were a couple of negative comments, and but human nature, you reflect on the negatives. You never really look at the positives, do you? I always thank everyone who comments, even if you've been negative about it. I always put a thumbs up. Don't mean I mean it. But there were a couple of negative comments about how much it costs, and what they were saying were, if you have to do something like I've done and count up how much it costs to go racing, you shouldn't be racing. Why? You go on any forum, any YouTube or any online app or whatever, doing Google, you try and find out how much it costs to go racing. No, I don't mean like, oh, it costs a lot. Idiots. I did do my homework before I come racing. I asked in forums, I asked on YouTube, I tried, you name it, I asked. And I tried to find where it said how much it costs to go racing, and I couldn't find it. Hence, that's why I've done it. If I can help someone prepare for the costs of racing, happy days, it's worked for me. And I really don't try and put people off racing. I'm trying to do this so that you have a better idea of the costs. So let's just get that straight. I don't need negative comments. Why be a dick, for one? Oh, you shouldn't be racing if you can't afford it. I can afford it, and I have afforded it. So, I've just tried to help other people. That's my whinge on negativity. Yeah. Let's cover this shit, because this has even surprised me. It really, really has. Now, you've got a couple of options. on how you actually pay for your racing. So I'm going to break it down into parts and give you a final total. Now, if you're going to pay to come racing with no limits, there are one-off payment of £2,592, I believe. I'm going to say I believe because all I've done is for each round, I forgot how much it were, but for each round that I've put down on the other form, all these, I've added all them up, and that's what it's come to. 2,500, and that is just to race. Qualifying, race 1, race 2, race 3, depending on where you're at, right? Now, I didn't have £2,500 to pay out, especially in December, right? You're talking December 1st. You know, and it comes out or around December 1st, somewhere around there. The way I did it, I did £896, 60 odd pence. I think I did check earlier, 60 odd, 896 quid. Yeah. And then 8 payments of 230 quid. That's what I've done. You know how much I paid? 2,736 quid. It's like finance. You are going to pay a bit more, but this helped me to pay for it. Yeah. The 896 I paid in December, and then I didn't pay any of these installments till March, and then they stopped in September. So there's your 8 months. You know what I mean? So I paid 2,736 quid just to come racing. Now, on top of that, you got test days. Right? Now, test days, you can either pay for them as you go along. Good luck with that because they sell out instantly. Or you've got people like me who pay for the season for test days. Now, I did, and I paid 729 quid for the test days. Now, good luck if you're trying to get on them. So that's 729. Now, don't forget there were 3 track days. Your track days was, I mentioned before, Brands Arch, 289 quid, which I've miscalculated. I've miscalculated this. And then 2 at Donnington, which were 199 quid. I had it as 597, but it's not. It's another 90 quid on that. So, because there were 289, 199 and 199. So I've got 597 plus another 90 quid, 687. Oh, so that's still wrong pen. How many times do I need? £687 on track days. That's three track days, which then that equals 1,000. Oh, that's going to be more. 1,460. Let's say, yeah, there you go. 1,416. If I'm a couple of quid out, don't worry about it. I'm sure someone will add it up a lot. I've just had to do that because I made a miscalculation on track day. Don't forget, you do not have to do these track days. You don't have to do test days. If you're that good, you can just turn up, jump on, do a qualifier and win. Not me. But most people tend to do test days and track days. Just makes it easier. Yeah. Now, if you were paying, what I will say is, if you were paying for these as you go, now 1,416, you would have been paying here 1,512. So you'd have actually paid £100 more on that one. So you'd have paid more there. I've got away with a bit less here. Give and take. Now I did have the garages. What that meant is every round, apart from Cadwell Park, I ended up with a garage. I ended up with a pit space. Now the garages, believe it or not, were 210 quid. You can get these individually, 30 quid a round. So, and if there's any space, so you're not guaranteed. If there's a space, you can get in for 210 quid. I paid that. It's a one-off. I paid it. I knew I had a garage space every single round. You don't have to worry about electric, all that sort of stuff. I'm not going to put that on the total for the full amount. I am on mine because I paid it. Yeah. Now, on this, without garages, yeah, without garages and just paying it normal, you would have paid 4,104 quid. Yeah, no garage. No, so that's pay as you go, paying foot racing, and then trying to get on these. 4,104. Me, I've ended up paying 4,272 just to go racing. And that is just to go racing. So I didn't think it was too bad for a full race season. You literally took eight races, 500 quid a race works out roughly, doesn't it? 500, and if you want to be really geeky, 540 quid per race. So it's not too bad, is it? I'm going to flick the page because there is another part and it's a full breakdown of it. Right, so in fact, I'll say, getting attacked. I'll take that off so I can still see it. Modern days, this pen and paper, you know, modern. Right, so £4,272. That's how much. 4,2. What did I say? 4,272. That's for me, and 4,104 on that. What's that side? Right. I am going to cover everything else. So fuel, diesel. So these are just things that you're going to pay for. Oh. Brake pads, believe it or not. Oil and filter. I'll cover these. Sprockets. Yeah. And a chain. Right. And then other stuff like the quick action throttle, the micro switch, the quick shifter. So that's what I've covered in parts. It's all the other little parts that I had to pay for. I'm not covering the van, so you'll have seen on the other one I had a van. I'm not going to do that one. And then a really good one I'm going to come to is the tyres, which wet, scrubs, and new. I'm going to cover that. Now, the fuel alone. So, you got to think this is for 8 full race weekends. 461 quid. To get to racing and back home, 841 quid. That's for diesel. This is a good, this one really, and for the brake pads, and I have just put back pads. Now, I need to look at a different option for pads, I think, because I'm sure. Now, I do use SBS 809 RSTs if it's caught for track days because they're a bit cheaper and if it's raining. And then I use 809 DCs dual carbon for when it's dry. And they do wear quite quick. You don't get a lot of use out of them. And this really did bring it to light because I have just worked it out. £811 on brake pads. £811 on brake pads. Surely there's got to be a better option for that. And I know Craig Everson, he can get pads. So I'm going to have a word with Craig and find a better option for brake pads because that is a lot of money doing. So I think it is for brake pads. And I know it's one of the most important things on your bike, but it is quite a lot. Oil and filter, 245 quid, not bad for the season. I do keep on top of my oils and my filters on bikes. For the sake of what, 245 quid, you're going to blow your engine up. You'll be paying a lot more than that. Sprockets and chains. I went through a couple of sprockets, three. I went through 3 sprockets altogether. And I've had to buy a chain and a 233 quid. Parts, including quick shifter, all that sort of stuff. The throttle, everything, micro switch, thermostat. You see the list goes on. So not bad, £703. And I'm not going to include anything from what damage I've done from endurance. I'm not including any of that. I'm not going to put that on. Right. Tyres. The season for tyres. Yeah. Wets. I buy scrubs, right? I've paid 280 quid for all my wets to cover this year. For any wet session. 280 quid. You're talking one tyre, really. If that's one tyre, but I buy scrubs. You know I do. Scrubs, I'm gonna leave scrubs. I'm gonna leave that for the next bit. New tyres. Now, Craig spoilt me at Cadwell. Craig Sharman spoilt me at Cadwell Park. He bought me a front and a rear just to give me a chance to see what I could do, and it's just changed everything. You know, if you watch the Cadwell race, how I rode at Cadwell, it's like another level. I didn't realise tyres were as good as that when they're brand new. Hence, I did buy Oulton Park. I bought myself a new one. Donnington Park, I bought myself a new one, and they were 540 quid. Yeah. Scrubs. To say I've done a full season and I change my own tyres. I do not pay for tyres to be changed. I change my own, and I change other people's, not for cash, just for a subscribe. Drop us a subscribe, I'll change your tyres. But scrubs, believe it or not, I've worked it out. 1,160 quid on scrubs. On scrubs. Can you imagine what it is? Full cost. I didn't work that out. I should have really. I should have worked out how much full cost for normal tyres. Tyres alone, £1,980 on tyres alone. Yeah, and that's someone who uses scrub. 2 brand new ones, and that's not including the ones Craig bought me. You know what I mean? They are not them ones. Right. What's it all come to? Here we go. Right. The total. Right. What you can actually expect. And there's a couple of things I haven't covered here, and I'm not going to put them in. And I should have really. Right. For me, this year, and this is where it's a bit of a shocker. For me, 9,000. I have to say it quiet in case she is. 9,286 £. No one at all told me it cost that. No one. And that's every single bit of racing. Yeah, that's not just, it costs this to go racing. No, that's everything. That's tyres, fuel, diesel, pads, you name it, that's that. £9,286. I didn't know I had £9,000. I really didn't. And I have not got into debt for this. I had a bit of savings, which they went quite quick. I did have some savings. And I don't mean like 10 grand's worth of savings. I didn't have that. You know what I mean? I just thought I'd be okay with a few grand. £9,000. Don't forget, some of that was on, paid monthly for this part. So that's not so bad. 9,286 quid. I'm sure you can do it cheaper. I'm sure people can do it a lot cheaper. You don't need garage. Yeah, you take garage off, and that's another 210 quid. If you don't do track days or test days, should I say, that's going to save you another, how much did I say there were? 800 quid, 729 plus another 600 and something, weren't it? I didn't even put it on there. Yeah. And then these are things that you're going to have to pay for anyway. Right? You might get away with parts. You might have a brilliant year, not do anything. Doing oil filter, you've got to look after your bike. Sprockets change, you might get away with that. Brake pads, I'm definitely I am definitely going to have to look into that, because 811 quid. And I know they're important, but I'm sure I can move to a different brand, because, like I said, I use SBS, and 811 quid. And they don't last long. Them DCs do not last long, but they're brilliant. Do not get me wrong, they're brilliant pads, but they don't last long. I literally get a race weekend out of one set, and they are like just past that minimum, the minimum marker on them. Or should I say, they're at that minimum marker. That's how much it's cost me to go racing. Bit of an eye-opener. I was very, very surprised when I saw that figure today, when I've actually worked it out. Look at this one, right? And I did speak, now Baz Napersky, he raced last year, he did full season last year. I've known Baz a few years. He's just done endurance this year, and they won, and not the national, but they did win cup in endurance. But Baz did say, I mean, he's selling up, obviously, one reason or another, but he's not racing next year, I don't think. He might do odd event, but and I'm going to do it in green, because I've always done the green for full cost. Now, full cost, if you can afford them brand new shiny tyres, blah, 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 I'm not being funny. This year alone, £16,499. Woo! That's full cost. Can you see that you spent £7,000 more than me on Cadwell? 6,800. You've spent £6,000 more than me, and I have worked it out as if with the fuel. And so literally, you've got all that. That's the only part that's different. That is the only part I've done different. The tyres part is what I've done different. Whereas I've £2,000 on tyres, you spent £7,000 on tyres. You know what I mean? So, but you might have won championship. I definitely didn't. I've just won the hearts of people. But £16,000 if you're paying full. For anyone who's negative about how much, who put negative comments about, if you can't afford it, I will tell you now, I can't afford that. You know what I mean? Definitely. So I'm going to stop racing just for the sake of it, because I can't afford brand new. I did afford that, and I've done it this year, and I am going racing next year. Hopefully, sort out little bits with parts, brake pads, stuff like that. I might save a bit more money. You know what I mean? I'll definitely be on a budget. I will be buying newer tyres a bit more often, to be honest. But I'll be moving back off at Pirelli's. I'll be probably going on to Metzler just because they're cheaper. I do hope. Oh, that isn't the final cost. I almost missed out. What I forgot to put on was your ACU membership. Now, you have to renew it every year. And this year, it was 78 quid. Yeah. Then, you got your No Limits Racing membership as well. You can't grumble. You can't grumble at this. 49 quid. That's how much you were this year. So your No Limits membership was 49. Your ACU was 78. That's another 127 quid. Ooh, on top of that. You know what I mean? it's still roughly, it's 100 quid more, in it. Let's be honest. I do hope you've enjoyed how much it costs to go racing. I really don't want to be negative about it. You see this here? You see that? I'm going to tell you, it was worth every penny. I've had an absolutely fantastic year. And I mean a proper fantastic year. I've done something I've always wanted to do. If you want to do it, go do it. Yes, it costs a little bit, but it is worth every single penny. You meet so many people, and it's something that you're just going to love. You're going to love you're not going to love every single minute. If you go back and watch Anglesey, oh God, I had to have a word with my son there. Yeah, I had right strop on there. So it's one of them. But I'll tell you something, 9 grand. I've loved it. I have loved this year. I think after every single penny of that, I've really, really enjoyed. I can't knock it. I can't justify that. If you want to sponsor me and help me pay that, absolutely, I'm up for that. But I will be doing it next year. I'm in Cup. I will be doing a breakdown, and I'm going to try and get it a bit cheaper. So it's just working it out and seeing what it does. If you think you can do better, go ahead. Go and do something like this. What I've done. I just hope that I've helped people look at this and go, oh, it's a bit pricey. I better start saving up, which is what I did. Yeah, I saved up. I had a little bit of savings. I paid this by monthly installments. It helps. It all helps. No limits. Oh, I've took it off. No limits have been absolutely brilliant. I've really, really enjoyed racing with no limits this year. I can't knock them apart from Croft. Croft shit. If you are watching this and you haven't subscribed, where have you been? What have you done? Drop us a subscribe. Drop us a like. Go all the way back to the beginning and watch it from beginning. I'll tell you what. 9,000, 9 grand. Has it made me a better rider? Go and watch me from beginning to where I finished at Donnington, and you tell me if 9 grand's paid for me to be a better rider, better person, and I've met such brilliant people. 9 grand's a piece of piss. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will catch you later next year.